dropshippers. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the different loan stimuluses that are being sent out by the government to help small businesses like ours during these uncertain economic times. So, as you know, in the world right now, the economy in the United States is not doing that well. Stocks market is down and everything. And so we have a lot of people, a lot of businesses struggling at this time. The government is trying to literally inject money into our economy to get it up and running and things going at least somewhat back to normal. In particular, they want to make sure that more people maintain their jobs. So there are some opportunities for us as small businesses if you need money for your business. And some of it really does look like free money. So we're going to be discussing that today, the pros and cons of everything, and some of the problems with these different programs, so that you can be aware of them. Now, this will just be some more general information. I'm definitely not an expert in this, but I know some of you learn about selling on eBay and Amazon from me, so I do want to at least bring this to your attention so that you could look into it yourself. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about here is if you go to the SBA's website, the Small Business Administration's website, they have these loans um, that exist that you can always apply for these loans. They're disaster loan assistance. But recently, they have made it even easier for us. They've made a special one because of the current situation, and um, they've actually made it like better incentives for us as well. So this is the website right here. You're actually applying for this on the government's website, and the really interesting thing about this loan is that when you go through this sign up process, and again, you can do this at the link below, they're going to ask you. I'll show you. So I'll just check off one of these. This um, is it works for anyone who's a small business, anyone who's a sole proprietor or an independent contractor. You can all apply to this. But wait till the end because there might be something better that you might want to apply for instead. And then you have to check off these boxes. You should read this before you do check them off. And what I want to show you here is on the next screen. Obviously, they're going to ask for your business information, about how much money you made in the past year, information like that. But what I want to show you is, oh, it's actually on the next screen, so I can't really show you right now. But what they're asked, there's one box you can check off that says you are looking for a $10,000 emergency grant. And that really is a grant because it's not money that you have to pay back. Let me say that again. They'll give you $10,000 that you do not need to pay back if you use it for the right reasons. And pretty much the right reasons are you're using it for payroll. So again, the government here, they want to keep more people employed. So they're sending out that $10,000 grant basically so that we can keep more people on payroll. So I do know some people who have applied to this. They haven't received that $10,000 yet, even though they said they would receive it within 3 days. And this opened up last weekend, so more than 3 days ago. So I'm not sure exactly when it would happen, but that's what they have promised us. Now, there's something that's, I think, more interesting for small businesses, something that would be of a larger benefit, and that's inside the new CARES um, uh, package that they put together. This is for economic assistance during this time. And in particular, the portion of it that's interesting is the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. So the Paycheck Protection Program is very similar to that $10,000 grant because what it's designed for is keeping people on payroll. So the way this works is this works for anyone who has a business with less than 500 employees, small businesses, independent contractors, sole proprietors, all of them, all of you can apply for this if you need the money to keep your business operating. So they've allocated $349 billion for this. Um, and the loan terms will be the same for everyone. So this is designed to cover payroll costs, some mortgage interest, some rent, and utility costs for an 8-week period. As long as you do things like keep people on payroll and maintain the same levels. So, how much of a loan can you get? Because remember, under the other one, you can get $10,000, but this one, you could potentially get a lot more. So, how much more? Well, basically, the way this works is you have to calculate what your monthly payroll expenses were for the past year. So, for the 12 months leading up to now, what was how much did you pay in payroll? That total amount divided by 12 and multiply that by 2.5, 2.5 months. That's how much you can get in a loan. And you don't have to pay that back as long as you use it for payroll. You can use a little bit for things like mortgage, interest, and rent and utilities, but for the most part, 75% of it. I don't know if you guys can hear screaming in the background. I must apologize for that. Working from home, right? So as long as 75% of it is used for payroll, you don't have to pay it back. That could be a lot of money for some businesses. That can be a lot of money, right? But there are some confusing stipulations about it that are causing a lot of confusion for people because we don't have full details on exactly how to answer a lot of these questions people have. So let's go through this and I'll kind of show you some of the questions that I have and some of the answers to questions that you might have. So when can you, oh, and I should say, um, anything else you receive, the payments are deferred for 6 months. And if you don't use it for payroll, you'll have to pay it back with interest, but interest is only 1%. This is in the past they said 0.5%. Now they're saying 1%. But as long as you use it again for payroll, you won't have to pay it back. Okay, when can you apply? Well, today, April 3rd, if you're a small business or a sole proprietor. You can use it to cover payroll and certain other expenses. Starting April 10th, independent contractors and self-employed individuals. Now, this is a little bit confusing to me. Self-employed individuals have to wait till April 10th. Sole proprietors can apply today. In my mind, they're the same thing. If you're a sole proprietor, then you're self-employed. If you're sole proprietor, you're potentially an independent contractor. So when you have to apply, a little bit confusing. And the earlier is better because they say they have 349 billion. At 9:15 this morning, Bank of America said that businesses have already asked for $6 billion in loans in the first 15 minutes that they were open. And that's just one of the banks. So you can see that this money could go really, really fast. So the earlier you get in, the better. And it does seem to be first come, first served. Now, unlike the SBA uh, uh, disaster loan application, this you would actually apply for with a bank. Oh, I forgot to share the screen. This you would actually apply for with a bank that you're already um, like banks you already know, like Bank of America, for instance. Um, so you wouldn't actually do it through the SBA. And this is where part of the confusion comes in because a lot of these banks, as of last night, were unsure how this would work or were unsure how to run this. And they weren't really set up to do it. So Bank of America, for instance, they said they're one of the few, they're actually the only big bank right now that's accepting these loan applications. And they're only accepting it if you already have an account with them and you already have some sort of loan or credit line open with them. So if you don't qualify for that, like I wouldn't qualify for this, I wouldn't be able to apply with Bank of America. There are no other big banks doing it right now because they're all confused about how to do this. Although there are some small banks that are doing it. So you have to do it directly with them. Again, you have to be a small business. So this is sole proprietor, self-employed, independent contractors with 500 or fewer employees. So most of you guys watching this, that's going to be you. If you have more than 500 employees, you probably have, a legal team of someone who can actually handle this for you. What do you need to apply? You're going to need a lot of documentation, whatever basically the lender asks for, which is the bank. So they're going to look for things like your W-3, your W-2s, all that sort of information, tax returns. That's the things they're going to look for. And what can you use it for? Payroll costs, interest on mortgage obligations, rent, on utilities. But these are only for utilities and rent that were in existence for service before February 15th. So it's not like you can add new utilities and new rent now. It has to be for existing ones. But this is really the big question. So remember I said before, you have to take 12 months of payroll, a year's worth of payroll, divide it by 12, and times it by 2.5. The big question is, what is included in payroll? Now, obviously, if you pay yourself on payroll, you give yourself a W-2 at the end of the year, that counts as payroll, right? But there are a lot of more nuances here as well. So salary, wages, commissions, and tips are included. Now, one exception here is, let's say you're a small business. Let's say that there's two employees in your business, and let's say one employee makes $50,000 a year, and the other one makes $120,000 a year. So the the salary is capped at $100,000 a year. So you would take $100,000 a year plus 50, 150, divide that by 12 and times it by 2.5. So you can't take 120 plus 50 and divide that by 12 and times that by 2.5. The salary is capped at $100,000 a year. So it doesn't mean that employees that make more than $100,000 a year, that they're just taken out of the equation. It just means that you count their salary as only $100,000 a year. You can also include benefits such as vacation, parental, family sick, medical sick leave, group health insurance, and any retirement benefits. Again, a question that I have here, this is one that I haven't found the answer to. Let's say one of the employees makes exactly $100,000 a year. So all that would be included. But what if we also give them $15,000 a year in retirement benefits? Do we add that into it, or is it just $100,000 for that employee and that's it? We can't include the 100 plus the 15. Question that I haven't seen the answer to that. You can also include state and local taxes, but you cannot include federal taxes. So a lot of times employers will pay state and local taxes. That will be included in there, but not federal taxes that they pay. And again, same things for sole proprietors, independent contractors, wages, commissions, income, or net earnings. But again, that's capped at $100,000 a year. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about that in a minute because there's still some more confusion for me, particularly like if you're an LLC that's working as an S corp. Usually the way that works is that you pay yourself a salary, and the rest is you pay yourself as an owner's draw. So let's say the business makes $100,000 a year, okay? But let's say you pay yourself a salary of $50,000 a year. So you're on payroll for your company, you make $50,000 a year. The rest of the 50, you still get that, but you take that as an owner's draw. And the reason that businesses are set up like that is because there are some tax advantages to that. Would their salary be $50,000 a year, or would it be $100,000 a year? That is a question I have not seen the answer to, and it makes a big difference, right? That's a lot of additional money that you would get under this program if you make it $100,000 as opposed to $50,000. So that's a question I have not seen the answer to. Okay. How much of a loan will be forgiven? You will owe money on the loan if you use the loan amount for anything other than payroll costs, mortgage interest, rent, and utilities. Due to likely high subscription in anticipation that not more than 25% of the forgiven amount may be used for non-payroll costs. So pretty much 75% of it you have to use for payroll. Also, you're going to owe money if you reduce your number of full-time employees, or if you lower salaries by more than 25%. But if you fired anyone and this payroll protection program gives you the ability to rehire them, then you won't have to pay it back either. So you can rehire people if you had to fire them before getting this loan. And you'll have to request that loan forgiveness directly with the bank. Let's see. Okay, so again, there was one of the problems here was that they kept getting questions and we keep hearing different information from different people. So I'm trying to kind of like piece this all together. This was something that was issued by the U.S. Um, Chamber, um, U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. And they had something in here that I thought was really helpful. What was it? Um, Okay, payroll does not include any compensation of an employee whose principal place of residence is outside the United States. So this was a big question for me because I have a lot of uh, virtual assistants who work for me who live in the Philippines. And over the course of a year, I end up paying them a lot of money because there's several of them. So that is not added into my calculation for payroll. So unfortunately, that's not going to really help me in my situation. And yes, so then another thing was issued just last night, and the banks were like kind of shocked that this was issued like last night, some further guidance about this. But I wanted to point out this one. So this was issued by the SBA, and I'm just really confused by this because I do have some independent contractors who are in the United States, some that are not outside the United States. So my question is, are they included on my payroll calculations? Do I include them when I add up how much I paid in payroll for the year, divide by 12 and times by 2.5? So right here it says, how do I calculate the maximum amount I can borrow? Well, here's the math. All your payroll costs from the last 12 months for employees whose principal place of residence is in the United States. Okay, so that we know. Subtract any compensation paid in excess of $100,000 to a single employee. Okay, we understand that. Okay. Or any amounts paid to an independent contractor or sole proprietor in excess of $100,000 per year. So that sounds to me like we can include independent contractors in this calculation up to $100,000 per independent contractor per year. So that was really exciting to me because I do have some in the United States. But further down, let's find it. There's lots of examples here. By the way, links to all this will be in the description if you guys want to check this out. Is there anything that is expressly excluded from payroll costs, from the definition of payroll costs? Yes. Any employee outside the United States, compensation of any individual employee in excess of $100,000 a year. We know that. And then here, do independent contractors count as employees for purposes of PPP loan calculations? No. Independent contractors have the ability to apply for a PPP loan on their own, so they do not count for purposes of a borrower's PPP loan calculation, which doesn't make any sense to me because here it's saying that no, but up here they're saying you can include it up to $100,000 per year. So there's obviously some confusion about this, which is why I think a lot of these banks haven't started doing it themselves. But this is the opportunity, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. At this point, the advice that I've heard is for you to reach out to any lender that you've used before. So if you've gotten a loan for your business in the past or have one right now for another reason, that's who you should talk to first. You have a best chance of getting this loan from them as opposed to someone else. So like Bank of America is only accepting it for existing customers at this time. So that's who you should be reaching out to. Otherwise, if you don't have one, reach out to any bank you have an existing relationship with. I've been checking all the bank's websites for updates on this, on the PPP loan, and very few of them have an application process set up. I actually haven't seen any, again, besides Bank of America, and one small bank, which was called like Ameris, which I've never even heard of before. And they just said, email us the information and we'll get back to you. So that's what I have for you guys. The reason why I said that this PPP loan is probably better than the $10,000 grant. The reason for that is because let's say that under the PPP program, you are supposed to get $20,000. Again, that $20,000, just to recap, you're supposed to use that during the 8-week period following when you get the loan. So for the next 8 weeks, you should spend as much of that as you can on payroll, and you can use 25% of it on those other things like mortgage payments and rent and utilities. Um, if you do that, then the loan is forgivable. But if you've already gotten that $10,000 emergency grant, then you can't like double dip here, right? It's not like you get $30,000 for free. You still only get 20,000. So the math is always the same. You do the math, it comes out to 20,000. That's how much is forgivable. So if you've gotten that $10,000 emergency grant already, that lowers how much will be forgiven under the PPP. So if you let's say for I'm not exactly sure how it will work. I'm not sure if the bank will only give you an additional 10 and then you add in the 10 from the grant and now you have a total of 20, or if you're going to get the full amount, if you're going to get the 10,000 from the SBA and 20,000 from your bank, and then you just have to pay 10,000 back at the 1% interest unless you pay it off early. Another thing to note is you don't get penalized for paying it off early as well. So that's why I just think it's a little bit easier if you haven't applied for that $10,000 emergency grant yet. It's probably just easier and simpler if you just apply for the PPP one. That obviously requires you to contact your bank, and unfortunately, we just don't know what's happening at this point. But I do want to let you guys know so you can at least start the process, start looking into it, see if it works for you. Again, we're all in a different situation, so see if this is something that your business would qualify for, and if it makes sense for you to do it, because the money is there for small businesses if you need it. So that's what I have for you guys. The rest of this video will be all me just answering your questions, live chat questions. So if any of you who are here live, you can ask them in the live chat on the side of the screen or underneath this video, and I'll answer them for you. If you want to make sure you don't miss my next live stream, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you can ask your question live, just like a Lazy Abram coming in here saying yo yo, and Soma saying oh hey, and someone here from Greece, what's up? Hope you're all safe and doing well. What's up, Zane? Thanks for being here. And Tony from Phoenix, great to have you. Wally made it again, and so did Johnny and Rich and Iron Ryan. We're on like a 5-day streak. I think most of you have been in here every single day, so it's awesome that you guys are all back here again for the daily live stream. Trying to go daily live every single work day during this whole lockdown because trying to put some regularity back into all of our lives. Let's see. Hey guys, says Steven. Steven says, have to share, I've made 4 sales within the last 2 days after starting earlier this week. Dropshipping Titans rule. Congratulations, Steven, on your fast success. So congrats. Great job, Steve. List. Can't stop, won't stop. What about big corporations that have 2,000 employees, but each location is less than 500? I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. Now I got to find a bank that does this. Yeah, speak to your existing banks, see if they can help you out. The only other one I found, let me see if I can remember the name of it. I think it was Ameris Bank. Was that it? Just searching on Google real quick. Yeah, Ameris Bank was the only one that I found. If you just go to amerisbank.com as of right now, at the top it says to apply for the Paycheck. How do I do this? Yeah, amerisbank.com. At the top it says to apply for the PPP loan. Click here. And then they ask you a whole bunch of information, and they actually help you calculate your salary or your payroll, and then you could fill out this. This was actually issued by the SBA, so every bank is going to ask for this same one. So if you want to check it out ahead of time, you can come just check out the one on Ameris Bank. It's going to be exactly the same from this point on. You can kind of see what the information they're asking for. It's not that hard, not that complicated. As long as you do good bookkeeping, you should have all this information. And then there's some information here for you to check out as well. But that one seemed a little weird because it's just like fill this out and then email it to us. Um, so I don't know if that would actually, I've never even heard of Amerisbank, so I don't know. Okay, guessing these loans don't apply to U.S. new sellers. Haha. No, you had to have been in existence as of February 15th, I believe. And also the way they calculate it is by looking at your past 12 months of payroll or income. If you don't have any, then that's not going to work. Um, this is a quote from the from Craig Street, the chief lending officer of the United Midwest Savings Bank. The response is overwhelming. It's unlike anything I've seen in my career. Yeah, I think you're right, Ryan. I think it's going to take some time for the banks to get clarification on how this is going to work. Uh, am I too late? I don't know. Like I said, they've only allocated a certain amount of money for these different programs. The $10,000 grant that might be gone already. There wasn't much money in there, relatively speaking. Same thing for this one. Just consider $6 billion in 15 minutes just from Bank of America. That is nuts. And yeah, I assume they're getting a lot more today already. So we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. And I mean that's the other confusing part. I mean the other tragic part is that I'm sure some of these are going to get rejected because they didn't calculate it correctly because we don't have answers to everything. Like that question had about S corps. Not really clear on that. I mean, so with an S corp, when you have an LLC that's taxed as an S corp, you have payroll, right? You have payroll, so it's easy to say, well, you just include what's included on payroll or what's included on the W-2s at the end of the year. But realistically, a lot of these people that run these LLCs as S corps, they don't live off of just what they make on salary. They also live off of what they make or take from the owner's draw. So that should really be included because there's just no way for them to live off of just the salary portion of it. Um, so that's not a really clear answer. So and some people might think, well, I should include the owner's draw. So they put it on the application. Maybe their application gets denied for that. And now they're all the way at the bottom of the list. So lots of confusion there. And there's also, I mentioned this in another video. It's capped at $100,000 per person per employee, which I understand why that would be. Um, but it's kind of also a little bit unfair because in some like if you're living in New York City, you're single living in New York City, $100,000 a year is not you're not like wealthy. You're getting by with that. Where $100,000 a year in some parts of Iowa would be a lot of money. So that's kind of almost unfair. And we saw the same thing with like um, the U.S. government's handing out $1,200 checks to anyone who makes less than $75,000 a year. I think that is more blatant there. Someone making $75,000 a year in New York City, that's not a lot of money. $75,000 a year in some parts of Iowa would be. So you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just an observation. Um, Wonder what types of big bailouts these big corporations are going to get. Yeah. The money's there. It's available to us. I mean, the other interesting thing is that this is specifically designed, this money, you have to say that you need it because of the uncertainty during the current economic condition, which is kind of a strange thing because if it's uncertain, you don't know whether you're going to need it or not. So basically, it seems to me like anyone could apply to it because no one knows what's going to happen a month from now. So for everyone, it is uncertain, which makes me really think that the money is going to run out much, much faster than we all anticipated. So wait, I applied for the $10,000 grant. So could I apply for this too? From what I've seen, yes, you can. You can apply for the PPP. Again, You can apply for that even if you're an independent contractor or sole proprietor. You just might have to wait a little bit longer. But again, it's going to lower the amount. So Ryan, if you were supposed to, let's say like 2.5 months of payroll for you, or payroll is $15,000, you're only going to get another $5,000, right? Again, you have to use that the right way. Again, and I don't know if you're only going to get 5,000 or if they're going to give you the full 15 and it's your responsibility to know to pay back the extra $10,000 that you got. So different things like that we're not really quite sure about. So breaking even or taking a loss, yeah. So if your business wasn't making money, I would imagine. Well, okay. So there's a difference between your business and you. So again, a business might be losing money. So let's say a business last year in 2019 was losing money, but they still maintained their payroll. They still paid all their employees. They would qualify. They would still get the amount needed for 8 weeks worth of payroll. Um, so yeah, that's the way it would work. But if you're a sole proprietor and you didn't make any money in 2019, I don't think you would qualify for this because you don't have any income. It's not like this caused you to lose income because you weren't making any money last year anyway. Whoa, dropship Jason. I did five 5,000 pounds, or right, or euros. I'm not sure. Please correct me. In sales, my first month in my new store, I've done 2,500 in sales in the first 3 days of April. Congratulations, Jason. That is awesome. No, thank you for watching the videos. Um, can I still apply for the $10,000 grant even though I'm not sure. I think it really, I don't know. You have to apply for it. So you can always be denied um, that. And when you apply for it, they will ask you questions like how much money you made last year, for instance. Killing it, Jason. Way to go, Jason, says Steven. Yeah, pounds. Thank you. Yeah. All right, guys. So that was the update I wanted to give to you. If I find out more information about the Paycheck Protection Program and any of these answers to these questions, I'll probably talk about it in one of my next live streams, which will be Monday at the latest for you guys sometime in the afternoon. So be sure to subscribe to the channel for updates about this. Again, I'm trying to go live pretty much every workday during this lockdown so I can update you guys because things are happening fast. A lot is happening. Primarily this channel we talk about selling on eBay and Amazon and drop shipping, and a lot's been happening on eBay, on Amazon for us sellers and buyers. So I've been trying to keep you guys updated daily to those changes. This also seemed really important because this is going to impact us in so many ways. These stimulus, all the stimulus money. For one, as small businesses, we could potentially get this money, which will keep us in business if that's a problem for you. And this is going to put money into the economy, money that people could then be spending on items that we are selling in our stores as well. So it all ties together. It's all part of the same ecosystem. So it is really important, I thought, to teach you guys or tell you guys about this. So at least you could start to look into it if it's something that you need for your business. So Dustin, I appreciate you being here. Noah, thanks for being here as well. Um, how do they know if you're using this grant money correctly? It's not on good faith. You actually have to show records of it. And the suggestion that I heard is to put all the money in a separate bank account and only use it for the basically payroll. And that would be the smartest way to do it and the cleanest way. But I think just having the records would probably be enough. All right. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being here. You know what to do. Hit that like button down below so this video gets out to more people. And I really appreciate you guys. So make sure that you come back Monday so we can all hang out again. Stay safe, wash your hands, and stay indoors. Bye for now.